Hello and welcome to this videocast for subscribers to davidicke.com. Gonna jump about a bit this week. One or two things I've experienced this week that have happened to me. But I'm going to start with, the continuing, just blatantly, pathetically predictable series of events that involve what's happening in the Middle East and Ebola. The term that's often used is mission creep, and mission creep is what I call the totalitarian tiptoe. You start at A and you're going to Z and you go in steps, but you don't tell them where you're going to start with, you just tell them about the next step you want. And so when David Cameron and Barack Obama, particularly David Cameron in this country, said there will be no new war quite a few weeks ago now, well, it was laughable because I've been writing about this manufactured, engineered conflict in the Middle East for, decades, that this was coming, and this was designed to create a much bigger conflict, pulling in more and more countries as a result of it. That's what we're seeing, with, as usual, the United States and Britain at the forefront. So it was obvious there was going to be a war. And so eventually they said, well, we can't have these ISIS people doing what they're doing, so we've got to have airstrikes. And first of all, it was American airstrikes. First of all, to help some people that were trapped on a mountain, according to the story that was put out. They're trapped on a mountain, so to help them out, airstrikes against ISIS. That was step one, or first step of violence, if you like, directly. And then it was clear that you were going to have the next stage, which was we need more airstrikes, because look what they're doing now. And isn't it funny how these ISIS people, they inherit all this state-of-the-art kind of weaponry and high-tech weaponry from the fleeing Iraqi army that were given that technology by the United States, and they know how to use it. Why? Because they've been trained, not least in Jordan, by the United States, to create the problem, to create the enemy. Yet again, this age-old technique, create the enemy so that you can justify some action you want to take. So that was the next thing. We need more airstrikes ongoing in Iraq. Then, of course, the next thing is, well, actually, their base is in Syria, isn't it? So we're going to have airstrikes in Syria. And whatever Assad says doesn't matter. We're the land of the free. We're going to do it. Now, we've reached a point then where the United States was bombing in Syria, having lost with Britain, Cameron, a year earlier, support, or failed to get support, to bomb in Syria against Assad. So they're almost there. And the next one now, the next one after that was Britain, of course. This is another thing which I put on social media at the time. Well, Cameron's saying, we won't rule out airstrikes. Well, where do you rule out airstrike? It's on your bloody script, man. And again, it was just the totalitarian tiptoe. And so eventually, because of the way that the propaganda has been sold to people and bought in very large numbers, and bought by the vast majority of Westminster politicians and Capitol Hill politicians, Britain got the vote, overwhelming vote, to start bombing ISIS targets in Iraq. But Cameron didn't try to get permission to go into Syria because of what happened to the year before, when he was voted down. So the next thing that we're going to be seeing, in fact, we are seeing it already, is there'll be two things. One, we can't, this is Britain, we can't contribute most effectively to stopping ISIS without us also bombing in Syria. And what's appearing now as a result of what is happening in the border town, the Syrian border town with Turkey, is they're starting to float this idea that actually you can't stop ISIS with airstrikes alone. Of course, the military people have been saying that on cue for weeks, but now the politicians, well, you see, I mean, I know we said like we were only going to do airstrikes, but you know, I mean, it ain't working, is it? So we can't just let it go, can we? Can we have a few more, videos of violence against people so that we can get them even more frightened? Can we organise that? Of course, then they'll say, well, we'll have boots on the ground then. Hey, right? Yeah, okay. I'll leave that to you. Yeah, okay. And so we have this mission creep, totalitarian tiptoe, going on before our eyes so blatantly. I mean, the contempt that is being shown for the public all over the world with these lies and falsehoods about here and no further, when they know they're going way, way further from the start. But the ability to lie is, with no shame, is of course the ability of the psychopath. And so, appropriately, they can lie, these people, without shame. And so here we are now, where they're starting to push on with, we'll need boots on the ground after all. And in terms of Britain, we'll need to bomb in Syria as well. And that's the other thing that will be coming. We can't stop ISIS in their headquarters in Syria unless we remove Assad.